Welcome to Art with Miss Clary. This art lesson is about dots and International Dot Day. Dots are everywhere. We wear dots, buy product with dots patterns. We go shopping in a store that has incorporated dot in their brand logo. Famous artists create art using dots. One of my favorite artists is George Seurat. He was a French post-impressionist artist that was known for Pointillism. Pointillism is when you paint using small brush strokes or dots to color a surface that from a distance it visually blends together. Wassily Kandinsky was a Russian artist that was inspired by sound and music. He used layered circles in his famous paintings. Another one of my favorite artists is Yayoi. Kusama is a contemporary Japanese artist and creates sculptures and installations with polka dots. Now, let's talk about International Dot Day. What is International Dot Day? International Dot Day is a celebration of creativity inspired by the book The Dot, written and illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. It is a day to think about ways in which we can use our special talents to make the world a better place. It is a day to connect, collaborate, and create. It's also a great day to foster self-expression. Children and adults participate by writing, drawing, painting, taking photos, videography, dancing, and making music. In the book The Dot, Vashti learned that the only way she could be good at something is by trying. She saw that someone believed in her, such as her art teacher. It helped her gain the confidence she needed to take a risk. Join me to make your mark and see where it takes you. So let's go over what you're going to need to create your Dot Day artwork today. This is just one of mine I've kind of been working on, but I haven't finished painting some of the other circles, but I used dot layering circles or layering dots. And there's also, I signed my name just like Vashti. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the different materials that you can use today to create this artwork. So you're going to need a piece of white paper. It can be a small or large piece. Just remember, if it's a larger piece, it may take you longer to finish it. You're going to need some crayons. You're going to need a watercolor palette with a watercolor brush, a paper towel, and a cup of water, a pencil. So these are the main things that you need. Now let me show you what you can use to create your circles. So you can create your circles today with just freehand circles using a pencil. You can create your circles with a compass. Or we talked about saving lids to create different size circles and tracing them. So these are all lids that I've saved off of different containers before throwing them away. And I've kind of washed them and kind of stacked them up small to big here. So I think today I'm going to use the lids and I'm going to show you how to use those. And for time's sake, I'm going to go down to a smaller piece of paper. But if you want to use your full sheet, that's totally fine. Just remember, it may take you a little bit longer. If you don't have watercolor, you can always use color pencils or crayons and color your circles in. So I'm going to start with a smaller one because my larger circle is too big for this one. Not unless I wanted to kind of for it to go off the edge, which is totally fine too if you wanted to create that kind of look. So you place your circle in the middle of the paper, hold it with one hand. Trace around with the pencil. I always start the largest one because it's really hard to center it if you start small and then go big. And then I'm going to go to my next size, kind of center it up. place it in the center, hold it with one hand, trace with the opposite hand. Sometimes you might get little bumps or ridges. It's not perfect. It's totally fine. I have this green lid, but it's got some ridges in it, so I'm going to turn it upside down. This is simply orange container lid. Hold it with one finger in the middle, trace around it, pick it up, and I have this one that gets even smaller. I think this is the smallest I'm going to go. Trace around it. So now I have this layering dot look. Now if you want to have some dots around the edges, you can. So other options of this look is to use different sizes and put dots inside of dots. Or you can have dots, circles, intersecting circles. Remember, it's all about the circle, all about the dot. So that is what you really want to use for your entire piece of artwork. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to take my crayons and I'm going to create a waxy barrier before I start painting. So I'm going to trace around using the crayon and outline each circle. And remember, if you don't have watercolor, you can color it in using crayons. It's okay if you go out of line. It's totally fine. Doesn't need to be perfect. So I am outlining, which means tracing over my pencil lines. You can choose any colors you want. You can make any kind of design you like using your circles. Okay, so now that I've traced around all of my circles, I'm now ready for my watercolor. So I'm going to use my paper towel. I'm going to get my watercolor. I'm using the 8 color watercolor, and I have my round tip brush, or you can use the brush that comes with it. Put my water here. I'm trying to put it on my paper exactly. So I want to go over how to activate these dry watercolors without contaminating the different colors. So what you're going to do is that you're always going to start with the lightest color. So the lightest color is going to be yellow. So I want to paint that yellow first so I don't turn my water dark right away. Also, this should be bright and fun. So I'm kind of not going to use the black and the brown today. If you use blacks and browns first, it kind of muddies up your water and you'll have to change it right away. So I'm going to dampen my brush. Make sure there's no other color in it. There's not. And I'll put a drop of water into the yellow. And I'm going to start painting. And you see here, it's still kind of moist and wet. It's going to be light and dark. You don't really want to dig into the paint cake. If you start pushing down really hard with the brush, it's going to mess up your paint cake. You really want to do it very lightly, very gently. Wash my brush out. I'm going to go to the next lightest color is orange. Take 1 drop of water. Taking my time, applying the orange. Remember, you don't have to use orange. You can go to the other colors, but you want to make sure your brush is clean. Going very lightly into the color. Now I'm going to rinse my brush out, make sure it's nice and clean. If your water gets dirty, you may have to change it out and put a little drop of water into the purple. Using the tip of my brush to paint. If the brush stroke starts looking dry, like this one, that means we need more water. And now I'm going to wash my brush out, and I'll pick one more color for the center. I'm going to go green, put 1 drop of water. Taking my time. So this is how you use the watercolor palette. See, my palette is still nice and clean. I haven't crossed colors because I've been making sure that I've been washing my brush out between every color, and also I did not use the brown or the black. So this is how the best process of using watercolor. Now in the book, Vashti signed her name at the very end. So as soon as you finish your artwork, sign your name on your paper. And you can use a crayon, marker, whatever you like. And you're made your mark. You're all finished. Remember, it's a dot design, so you really only want to use circles or dots, no other types of lines or shapes, primarily just the dots.